Randy, do you ever wonder what this program would have been like if you hadn't gone? What the level of growth that it would have experienced over a 6-year period?
Tough question. I don't, you think in your mind what maybe could have been, but you're so focused on what you have to do, I'm not worried about the past now. I'm worried about the future. And let's make it grow into something that that wasn't even there before. That's my whole charge right now. I just want to get this thing going and get this place where it's filled again and do the things that we have to do to be successful.
How shocked were you got that phone call? How shocked were you?
Pretty shocked. You're hopeful. You heard things, but like I said, it didn't take long. Once they asked me to be the coach, it didn't take me long to say yes.
Randy, where are you in putting together a staff? That process?
Well, I'm in the process of doing that. Again, it's one of those things you didn't think that we were going to be a head coach, so the list that you had, had to go find it again. But no, I'm in that process right now. And again, there's some university policies in place that we have to follow. And then as soon as we hire people, we'll get it out there based on what the policies allow us to do. But I'm working on that. I've been working on it for the last day or so. I'm gonna talk to them this afternoon. I'm gonna go to campus and meet them. And again, I'm gonna explore all my options and to get the best staff that I can get for what we want to do, what we want to accomplish. And like I said, I'll talk to a lot of this.
And you mentioned in your remarks about college football is kind of picking up in passing squares. Can you tell me what you value in an offense, what you would most value in an offensive coordinator?
Well, I want to be multiple and wide open in this day and age. And you take a look at the way kids are coming up now. You want to be able to have an offense that's going to be able to stretch the field horizontally, stretch it vertically, be able to run the ball and throw it. Again, you want to still have some balance, because again, if you're going to try to be one-dimensional, it makes it tough. So I'm looking for somebody that can do the things that we want to do. That's going to help us, score points and take advantage of the whole field and doing the things necessary to put points on us.
How do Cabrella's challenge for the first time?
Well, challenges are different, I think. Now we got to go out and recruit and get have players come in and work hard, and that, I think, one thing this time you don't have to worry about is facilities. The facilities are in place. Now it's a matter of recruiting, being great teachers, being great mentors to these young men, and establishing those relationships, with coaches and people in those areas where we want to recruit. That's the challenge we have now, is to go out and really do a good job of evaluating and recruiting. And I think you guys know me well enough. I don't get caught up in stars and all those sort of things. We're going to go out and evaluate guys, and bring guys in here that we feel like fit what we want to do. And it's an interesting. You guys probably saw it. But, Pro Bowl, just came out, and they did a thing about the number of stars that those Pro Bowl players have. And it was amazing. Wasn't a lot of 4- and 5-star guys on there that made the Pro Bowl. So again, I think sometimes people get a little bit too caught up in some of those things, and some of those guys that are here today are major contributors to the success we have. That's the other thing that's important to me, is having those guys around our program. All the guys that are here today, and then even other guys that have been here to put around and help the current guys understand, what you have to do, because those guys experience the success and they're successful in life. Now they can come back and offer on to our crew.
Randy, how will you balance? After I got up there, I was okay.
If I wasn't nervous, I don't think it would have been right. And I think that anytime you have something that you're emotional about, or something that means a lot to you, if you don't get nervous, then to me it doesn't mean anything to you, and there's no emotional ties.
How will you balance what any obligations you have remaining to the Lions?
Well, Bob and I, have talked about that a little bit. We haven't talked too much because I didn't want to. Not that I am a distraction, but I'm going to go back tomorrow morning. We'll be there for the walkthrough, and then do my duties for game day, and then we'll I'll go from there. But believe me, all my effort and thing is here trying to do these things, and right now I have to juggle things because I want to finish things out there with them the right way.
Was the last time you saw the
Yes.
When's the last time you were in this building?
Probably the last time we played here.
Yeah.
Maryland game?
Whenever that was.
What type of emotions did seeing that Jasper Howard bring to you?
I think that demonstrated that when I talked about it. Something that never leaves. Just doesn't leave. It'd be great to, Henry and Angela, we've stayed in touch with them, but we look forward to getting them back up here again this year. Bring them up for a game. That's something that just sticks with you for your life. That's emotional.
Randy, real early, is there anything to measuring stick for the first season? Or is it just general improvement, or is it?
No, my whole measuring stick is I want our guys to go out and play as hard as we can and work to get better each and every day. And if we do those things and we can improve week to week to week to week, then all the other stuff will take care of itself.
Were you able to meet with the entire team yet, or just select players today?
We had a conference call with them around 3 o'clock after it was announced that I was coming. So I had a conference call with guys, who were on it. I don't know how many were on it, but and then today the whole team wasn't there. They were invited, but they're not back in school right now. So mostly, guys from locally. We're here, maybe about 20 guys maybe that were here.
So it's more just a meet and greet. There was no message sent or anything?
No, I just, I talked to them about a couple things, but just, told them who I am, where I came from, what I've done, and what we're going to, my expectations, the standards that we're going to have, and I look forward to getting started with them on the 16th.
Randy, how you doing? First of all, congratulations.
Thanks.
How was the game just changed offensively in the last decade? So,
how would you miss that question? I already answered it. No,
I mean, how is that the change in the game going to affect how you approach the job?
Well, my thing is this. I mean, the game, the game still comes down to the blocking, the tackling, and all that, regardless if you spread people out or whatever you do. But I think because if you just take a look nowadays, what are kids doing most of the time? They're 7-on-7, only 7-on-7, all this stuff. Everything's wide open. I want to find that we can be, multiple in what we do. And again, I haven't had a chance to study the roster, but it seems to me like there's a lot of tight ends on the roster. Okay, but again, there's things you can do. I mean, the other thing is having the opportunity this year to be in the NFL. There's a lot of things I can study and see, and And to me, you have to be multiple. You know, you got to use 3 wide receivers and a tight end. You got to use 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers. But again, spread people out. But then also you can do things because of what people do. You bunch it up and you do things off of there. So no, I want to be somebody that's going to be an aggressive, open attack that can score points. Because I mean, that's what we got to be able to do. I mean, we're going to have to be able to score points in this day and age. You don't see a lot of this. You know, I played the style that we played back then because of who we are and what it allowed us to do, you know, and to win. I mean, that's the thing. And I even told the kids, because they asked me this today. I said, there might be some games where we might throw it 70% of the time. There might be other games that we might run it 60% of the time based on what the defense does or what their strengths and weaknesses are. You know, so, but again, I guess the best way to answer your question is I want to be open and multiple and be able to stretch it horizontally, vertically, you know, have balance. You know, in terms of run and pass. And then again, who you're playing will dictate maybe the percentages higher or lower with what you want to do. And then again, the same thing. You know, if you have a really good quarterback, if you have an Orlowski, guess what? What are you gonna do? You're gonna throw the ball a little bit more. You know, and what I'd like to do is find recruit a quarterback that has the ability to run and throw. But first and foremost, be a guy who can throw it. You know, and that's because you got to be able to throw the ball to him.
The reason I ask kind of is like there were a lot of games in the Big East. You know, there's Pittsburgh and Syracuse. You win 21-17, and it made sense. And this conference is like each week, you get a Temple, then you get like an East Carolina. You can go from very sane to be kind of crazy from week to week in the American. But right now is what I see. You know, that's why I asked kind of.
Yeah,
also.
I mean, there's a lot of wide open stuff, you know, there, and then Temple's probably more of a pro style type of attack. So, you know, that's where defensively you almost have to be multiple too. And you know, but that's the same thing though too. Is you see that in the NFL. You know, you get some teams that'll use regular personnel, run the ball a little bit more, and then you see the other teams who basically play with all 3 wide receivers. I mean, at Detroit we play with mostly 3 wide receivers and a tight end. You know, and then we have a tight end in Eric Eberman who we split out and he lines up as a wide receiver. So, you know, there's a lot of different things you can do. But like I said, I think you have to, I know what we want to do. We want to be multiple. We want to be able to spread people out. We want to be able to, take our shots down the field. We want to be able to have a quarterback that can throw it, but has mobility, to be able to make something with his feet when the protections break down.
I know you were glad to still be in the game and everything, but what was the last year really like for you, not being the head coach on the sideline?
There's a little bit of an adjustment, You go in and you put do the things that you have to do, the projects that you do, but you stand there, you're at practices and walkthroughs and the practices, and you're sitting there and it's like you're watching, but you're not saying anything, and I missed that a little bit. Yeah, no, I didn't know. I know this. I've been a head coach before, and so I know. You just go in there, you do your job, you keep your mouth shut, and you contribute in the way that you can contribute. And but it's been fun. I mean, because like I said, with Bob Quinn and Jim and Caldwell and the assistant coaches, good guys, and we have good players and nice guys in the locker room. I mean, I tell you, I know this. Anquan Bolden, he is unbelievable. I mean, I want to go recruit a bunch of guys like that. I know he's talented, but I've never seen. I can understand why he's been in the league as long as he's been. He's made a big impact for our club. This year, just his work ethic, his leadership. That guy every day has this routine that he goes through, and it's impressive. And I know there's some young guys that just try to stay up with him. They can't stay up with him. And that's what I said. It's the perspective of being involved in football this year and seeing how somebody else does it. Reinforced a lot of things to me that my philosophy and what I believe in. saw a lot of similarities with Jim. And then there's things that he did that, like I said, I'll bring with me, which is good. And sometimes you don't get a chance to do that when you're sitting in that chair for 17 years in your program. You have so much going on, you can't break away to that. So that, like I said, I was very fortunate that Bob, Quinn called me, and he was going for the job. He said, if I get this, I got a spot for you to do. And I said, well, if you get it, then call me. And he did, and I went out and met with Jim and sat down with him. And it's been a great experience.
Randy, how do you look back on the Maryland experience, and is there a lot of value to take from those 5 years?
Oh yeah, I mean there's things that I think every experience you have, you learn from, and we accomplished quite a bit there. I mean we had back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in 11 years. Went to 2 bowl games, only second win ever against Penn State. First time at Beaver Stadium, beat Virginia Tech on the road, beat Michigan at Michigan. Overcame the loss of 3 scholarships, and overcame first we lost 2.5 hours practice time, and practice was 17.5 hours. There's a lot of things that we did there, and so again, that you learn from every experience, and that experience helped me to be better.
Now that you were in the ACC and the Big Ten, the so-called Power 5 experience, and what went on here the last year, a lot of hysteria about Big 12 and everything. How far is this program from what those programs were like in those conferences?
I haven't been here. I just know this. The AAC is a very competitive conference, and the AAC has gone and beat teams from those conferences. The biggest thing to me, the difference is, and this is something that as a coach you don't have any control over. It's just television dollars. To me, that's the biggest thing. It's television dollars.